Welcome back to another edition of Hafeman Brothers Talking Packers. We are super excited to be talking Packers because it's another victory week. 7-1. Ben, the Packers go down to Kansas City, Arrowhead. I know everybody says, Patrick Mahomes isn't in the game and they should win and blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? A win's a win, baby, and we will take it. And they played a great game. I'm super excited to talk about this game. How about you?
Yeah, 7-1. Packers. This Chiefs game, it just seemed like the Packers were making plays. The defense had a couple stops, so they needed them. It's just I'm a little more excited about this game to talk about it, and I'm also super excited about 7-1. They've got more wins this year than they had all of last year.
The earliest they've gotten to 7 wins since 2011 as well. I think the other thing you're probably pretty excited about is 33. 33.
Oh,
my goodness.
Dude, he is, as you know, we have a fantasy football draft there. This is the 20th year of Hafeman Fantasy Football, and we've been doing it for a long, long time. And the last couple of years, we've done the keeper league thing, which you wanted to do, and that's cool. And I drafted Aaron Jones his rookie year in like the 9th round or something, because I watched him in preseason, and I was like, this guy is awesome. So this year I have Aaron Jones on my team, and he was like an 8th round draft pick or something, or 7th round draft pick that I had to use to keep him on my team, which is absolutely crazy considering the amount of production I'm getting out of him. And because of it, I'm number 2 in Hafeman Fantasy Football this year, which is pretty dang sweet.
It's been a while for you.
It's one of those things where, usually I stink. I've been stinking the last couple of years. But that's why the last 2 years, I've been like, can we give Aaron Jones the ball? But it's not just me. Every single Packer fan for the last 2 years has been watching this guy and saying, hello, we have like an Alvin Kamara type talent here. We've got a Shady McCoy type talent here,
with better ball security.
A guy that can, yes, that's true. Speaking of that was a turning point in this game.
We'll
which
get
is
to
very
that. We'll get
to
to that.
Right. But that's one of those things where they're taking a guy who's got super duper talent, right? And I don't think he's like super fast. He just moves quick. Like he cuts quick, and then it lets him get into spaces faster than most guys can. And it's nice to see them moving him all over the field. There's some plays that the Packers ran in this Chiefs game that look like the Patriots, where you got like White, like White would be lined up at split out at wide receiver and get a quick pass from Tom Brady and take it to the house. Stuff like that. I mean, Rodgers is finally not having to throw the ball downfield to guys who are covered all the time. They're scheming guys open. And not only that, they're scheming guys open that can take it to the house or create huge plays. And that's one of the things that excites me about this game. So you want to start with our new segment, the Hafeman Brothers Technical Difficulties?
Yeah, I know you got a wild story from this one, so go ahead.
Well, last week you started the podcast with your whole fiasco of you said, hey, don't work hard on Sunday because apparently you're not going to get your show and not be able to watch the Packers. Well, same thing happened to me this weekend. Mom and Dad were here to visit, and we had my daughter's confirmation at church. It was Sunday in the morning. Luckily, the Packers didn't play till night. Everything was fine. We went out to eat. We were hanging around the house, just talking and, doing stuff. And it was about 7 o'clock, and we were like, well, we better. And as you know, I don't have cable because I'm cheap, so we got rid of cable. And I always say free phone football. I always watch the game on my phone because it's free with the NFL app. So
I don't know how they haven't picked you up yet. They got to pick you up for that next advertisement they do for that, because
I know. I mean,
you're
free.
Promoting it all the time.
Well, it's awesome, and I'll tell you how it helped me out this time. So. Because I didn't want to have me and Mom and Dad sitting around looking at my phone. It'd be kind of goofy. So we were going to go. Mom and Dad got a hotel room this time. And so we were going to go to the hotel room, watch the game there. Because, it's NBC, nationally televised game. There's no reason why it shouldn't be there.
Right.
Not only that, here in Rochester, Minnesota, there's 2 channels that are based out of Rochester, which actually kind of like one channel. It's actually the same team of people that just do 2 different channels. There's the NBC, and it's the Fox affiliate. They're both here in Rochester. So we get to the hotel room, And Dad went and got something he had to get Diet Dr. Pepper because, Dad had to get something to drink. It's his thing. Because he didn't have any all weekend. He just drank water for some, that's what he wanted. And then obviously he's like, well, I can't watch the game without Diet Dr. Pepper. And I was like, okay, Dad, now you go get your Diet Dr. Pepper. Me and Mom will go get the game ready at the hotel. Okay, so we get to the hotel. You get in there. I turn the TV on. And there's 52 channels. And it's on the channel guide. And I'm like, here it is, channel 11. Mom was put on channel 11. So Mom puts on 11. And it's just a blank screen. And I'm like, what the heck's this? And she's like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, here, give me that thing. Let me see what's going on here. So I move the channel up to 12. 12 is fine. Go to 13, it's fine. Go to 14, it's fine. All the channels are there. I move all the way up to 52. Everything was there. I go back to 11, blank, nothing. And I'm like, what the heck is this? So then I go to 10, blank, nothing. That was the Fox channel. So the NBC and Fox, the two stations that are actually Rochester stations, this hotel wouldn't play. This hotel in Rochester couldn't get those two stations for some unknown reason. But there's 50 other channels that we didn't want to watch that we got just fine. And I was like, oh, my God, what is going on? And I was like, okay, well, we can't wait. This is already like 7:20 by that point, so the game was already almost starting, right? So I'm like, okay, well, here's the deal, Mom. I don't know what's going on. And she's like, well, we're going to have to get somebody up here. And I'm like, well, that's okay. I mean, let me just get it figured out on my phone here. So I hooked my phone up to the Wi-Fi at the hotel, and I got the game on, and it was already, the first quarter already. And I luckily I got started watching it. So I'm watching the game, and Mom's kind of getting worried. And then Dad comes in, and he's like, what the heck? We can't, and he's like, I'm going to go down. And so Dad runs down to the hotel lobby or whatever. And I'm watching the game, and he comes up like 10 minutes later, and he's like, well, they can't get them. There's some kind of agreement where they don't get those two channels. And I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, this is two Rochester stations, and they can't even play them at the hotel. Like, what is this? Like, I don't want to mention the hotel, but I almost want to get them, less people there. But, whatever. I'm not going to do it to them. But it still was like, what the crap? And I wasn't going to have all three of us sitting at the hotel room looking at my phone, because that's just weird. So then what I did was I gave my phone to Dad. I grabbed his phone. I hooked him up to the Wi-Fi. Then I had to download the NFL app because they don't have it on their phone. So I had to download the app onto their phone. Then I taught Dad how to get on there and then choose the game, to watch the game. So I got Dad's phone ready, gave it back to him. Then I grabbed Mom's phone, got her onto the Wi-Fi, did the same thing, and gave it to her. So we're all sitting there. Dad's on the bed. Mom's on a different bed. I'm on a chair. And we're all like watching the game, but we're not really watching it together because we're all watching on different phones. The other problem is they were streaming at like different times. And Dad had his volume up the loudest, and his was the first one. So we were hearing things that are happening before they're happening. Like me and Mom are sitting there, and something would happen, and we'd hear it on Dad's phone. And then we're like, well, that ruined it for us. So then what happened wasn't that exciting, right? So we're like, Dad, you got to turn your volume down. You got to turn your volume down. He's like, oh, yeah. So he turns the volume down. But then that didn't help either. Because then he's over there, the big play happens, he's like, oh, yeah, woo-hoo! And I'm like, okay, well, that just ruined it for me, because now I can't get excited. Or it'll be like, oh, dang it. And I'm like, ugh. So you're talking, that happened for a good quarter or so. And then finally I did it where I grabbed all our phones, and I tried to restart them at the right time during one of the commercial breaks, so we all would kind of be at the same spot. And it still didn't work out, because then I was ahead of everybody else. But I just tried to keep my cool as much as I could. But there's a couple times where I couldn't keep my cool. But so that was the Sunday for me. So last week you had an issue trying to get going. So it was probably about halfway through the first quarter before we finally had me and Mom and Dad all getting our phones on the right track, and we were all watching them on the phone. So that's another plug for, free phone football on the NFL app. Saved me again. I got to watch it. So it wasn't quite like watching it with your mom and dad, but it sort of was. But it was still kind of like weird. But it was fun, and we had a good time. And the Packers won. So that was the this week's Hafeman Brothers technical difficulties. I don't know. I'm really hoping there isn't another episode of Hafeman Brothers technical difficulties next week. So I'm hoping that we both don't have a problem. But who knows?
Technical difficulties in watching the Packers. Did you ever think you'd be sitting around a hotel room with your parents all watching the Packer game on separate phones? That's awesome.
Well,
Not awesome.
Dad, yes, because
crazy.
as you know, Dad is like addicted to his phone. So yeah, I can see that,
That's
but
true.
not Mom. No. And then after a while, then my battery went dead. Actually, now I'm thinking about it. My battery went dead about halfway through the fourth quarter, and I lost because I was expecting to use my phone, so I didn't charge it. I had it on all day and was using it for other things. So then me and Mom were huddled up, cuddling next to each other, watching on her phone at the last little bit of the fourth quarter. So that was fun too.
I think we've learned then that we got to step up our pregame. Like we have to actually do a pregame so we can. If we run into these things, we got a little time to iron stuff out. Because
we went over a little too late. We should have went over there and knew, because if I would have known that was the case, we could have just stayed here and not gone to the hotel room. It would have been more comfortable.
This is
whatever.
not. It shouldn't be like the Hafeman track record of going to church service. This should be more like, hey, we got to give ourselves a little time here to make sure that we can catch the main event. As you know, in our growing up, I don't know how many times we scrambling to get to church every single day, every single week.
Yeah, that was. Well, we are notoriously, I don't know, fashionably late. That's what they say, fashionably late.
Yeah.
That's the Hafeman motto.
Is that it?
If you're gonna go there, might as well show up last and look good when you show up.
Wow, that's a wild story. All right, we got to break the streak this week. That's for sure. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, to the game. So let's get into our plays. You go first. What do you got?
Okay. Well, since we were just talking about Aaron Jones before the Hafeman brothers technical difficulty section, let's do that. My big play. It's not like it's an awesome play, but it's the seal touchdown. It's the touchdown that ended, the last scoring of the game, and as you know, we've talked about it in probably 3 or 4 episodes in the past. One of my Ben rants was about the Geronimo Allison wide receiver screen, which drives me nuts. The guy he's a good receiver, but he's not the greatest after the catch. And then when you try to do a wide receiver screen with a guy who can't juke anybody, what's the point? Doesn't make any sense. Plus, you would do it with like 2 receivers trying to block for him who can't block. Dumb. So what do they do this week? On this play, it's the final touchdown. Aaron Jones lined up wide, Jimmy Graham in the slot. Aaron Jones moves in motion just behind Jimmy Graham. It's a wide receiver screen, but it's to a running back. Oh, in space. Oh, so awesome. Jimmy Graham gets a great block. Bakhtiari and Lindsley, the left tackle and center, block their guys downfield, and all Aaron Jones had to do was juke a couple times and take off. It was like the perfect play. And that was one of the times where I was ahead in the game of Mom and Dad, and I could not control myself. I'm just running around the hotel room going, woo, 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 and doing like a thumbs up to Dad, and Dad's like, shut up. And I'm like, sorry, I can't help it. Wait till you see it. It's so awesome. When you see things happen that like you and I have talked about, right? We're like, oh, if they would just do this, it would be awesome. And then they actually do what we talked. It's almost like Matt LaFleur listened to the Hafeman Brothers podcast. I don't think he does, but if he did, that was awesome because he did exactly what I wanted. Aaron Jones in space, get good blockers in front of him, 67-yard touchdown. Aaron Rodgers he only had to throw it like 10 yards, and most of that was just sideways, right?
Yeah, and Aaron Jones had another huge play up the sideline earlier in the game on a slant and go route, and so that was a longer pass. And if he hadn't stepped out, he would have had 2 huge play touchdowns in that game. Just incredible stuff.
Well, he would have had 3. He would have had 3 touchdowns in that game.
Right.
That drive eventually was a 1-yard touchdown run for Jamal Williams.
Right. I will say this: we do have one subscriber that has a very strange name. It's almost like a cover name, and I don't know if it's Matt LaFleur or not. But maybe somebody within the Packers organization that's paying attention and then coming back in and saying, hey, why don't we do this? And looking really smart because they listen to us. I'm just saying. It's a possibility.
Could be.
All right. I'm going to go with, man, I was taking notes this game because I watched it by myself and I didn't have a problem getting NBC this week, so I'm happy about that. But I was going to go with the Kumaro catch on 3rd and 8 in the first quarter, in the first drive, because I was just sick. That was like a ridiculous play, amazing throw. And I know it was windy too, so the wind was affecting some of those throws for sure. And then how it dropped in and how Kumaro came up with it. I mean, he was not really open, but he concentrated on the ball. Guy's arm is right in there. Sorensen was covering him, and he made the grab, and that was one heck of a play. And I'm going to stick with it, actually. I'm coming back.
Well, that was the first drive of the game, right? And they scored a touchdown, so it was very important.
Right.
Because that could have not. I mean, that could have easily been like not a catch, but he got his arms underneath it. I think that was a better catch than a throw. This is the thing I'm telling you about Kumaro and Alan Lazard. And I hate to say this about Geronimo Allison, but I would rather see those two guys out there. When Devontae comes back, I want to keep seeing Lazard out there. I want to keep seeing Kumaro out there. Those guys make catches and they make plays. And not only that, they're big dudes and they block. On that same drive was the Aaron Jones touchdown, the shorter one, like a little flip over. Rodgers got a touchdown pass out of it, but it was really just like a running play.
Yeah, the sweet.
But Lazard
sweet
had
play.
a huge block. Like Aaron Jones just ran right up Lazard's back and got in the end zone.
Mm-hmm.
Jamal Williams was leading on that play. Jimmy Graham had a good block. And also Blaga had a good block. All those guys had great blocks. And by having Lazard and Kumaro in the game, they're not as fast, but those two guys really are awesome at that. And then not only that, but they go up and make some insane catches. I mean, Lazard's got two awesome catches. Kumaro's got that one that you're just talking about where, he's smart enough to know, hey, keep your arms together so that ball does not touch the ground, so they have no reason to overturn this call. Because he could have easily had his arms a little bit apart and tried to catch it with his hands, and it would have just bounced right between them, right? But he was smart enough to keep his elbows together and then made the catch. And that's just, it's just a smart move. And it's also a great play.
Yeah, and with Lazard, too, they threw at least 3, maybe even 4 of those quick screens. It was at least 3 quick screens to him, and he was productive with him. He was getting like 8-9 yards, because he's a strong guy. He caught the ball on the run, sure-handed, so he was tucking it away right away, and he was getting his eyes downfield, and he was running over guys at the end of those plays. And you're right.
Little corners covering him.
A lot better guy to throw that type of play to than, say, Geronimo Allison. So, you're right. I want to see those guys keep playing too, and I'm hoping that everybody on the team gets it, the coaching staff gets it, and they're going to keep those guys as prominent players even after Adams comes back. My roller coaster play was actually the touchdown to Jamal Williams. That's where I'll use it, because the play looked like Rodgers is dead in the water and he's like going to the ground, and he'd been tripped up, on that early sack where he thought he was going to run away from guys and lost like 20 yards or whatever. And I thought, oh my gosh, here we go again. And somehow that's the best 2.5-yard touchdown pass in the history of the NFL. I'm just going to say it. I don't think you can find a 2.5-yard touchdown pass better than that anywhere. He had to throw it 30 yards in the air as he's falling to the ground and on his right side and has one foot on the ground and guys hanging on him. Unbelievable. I know he said, after the game, he was actually just trying to put it up there. Maybe Jimmy Graham would turn around and go get it. But he did also see Williams circling around, and you got other people saying he's just trying to throw it away. I don't know what the story is, but man, it was an incredible play, but it was very, very conflicting play for me because I thought he was going to die, and then ended up as a touchdown, which I couldn't believe.
I think we should just use that as both of ours.
All right,
because
let's
it was
do
such
it.
an awesome play.
Let's do it.
But I want to add something to that because I've been watching a couple of the reaction shows, like Skip Bayless and those Ding Dong.
Oh, gosh, me too.
Whatever, all those different shows. And a lot of them aren't giving him credit on that play. They're saying like it was lucky or because he admitted after the game that he was probably throwing to Jimmy Graham and he kind of overthrew him a little bit and Jamal Williams happened to be in the right place at the right time. But I'll tell you this much. That was a perfect spiral at a really good angle at the place where only one of his guys could have made the catch. And not only that, how many times does Aaron Rodgers make one of these crazy throws and it always works out? It's not like nobody is that lucky. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because you watch other guys make those throws and they end up being interceptions or it's, thrown way over too high or who knows what. And even if Jamal wouldn't have been there or he wouldn't have caught it, it would have just been an incomplete pass. They would have kicked the field goal, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of it is like, I think people are just getting used to Aaron Rodgers making crazy plays, and now they're just starting to be like, that's a crazy play. But most people are like, and then some people were giving crap to LaFleur because after the game he was saying that was the best throw he's seen live in the game, like where he was on the sideline watching the guy throw the ball. He's like, I couldn't believe that throw. Like it was insane. And it was insane.
It was.
He had like one toe. He had like a half a foot on the ground. He was almost perpendicular to the ground, and he's throwing it with one hand all the way across his body. and he just drills it. And and it's like, the other thing is this: it wasn't like a wounded duck. It wasn't like a hot, too high and then like dropped. It was like had a perfect arc on it where it just went over it. Where Jimmy Graham maybe could have got it. I don't think so. I think the wind kind of took it a little bit, but then it kind of dived right perfectly for Williams to just kind of sit there and be like, "Whoop, got it." It was a great catch by Williams too.
Right,
he had to really concentrate on that sucker.
Exactly, he had to do great footwork too to keep his toes in and all of it. But
yeah,
I mean, I think when he said he was throwing to Graham, he thought Graham might turn and run towards the back of the end zone.
Right.
But Graham didn't.
So
Graham
too.
was like, "I'm holding my spot," because he probably said, "I'm gonna, if someone's going to the back, I'm gonna hold my spot here." And then because so I think that was what was happening. No one came out and said that, but that seems to make sense. Regardless of who he's thrown it to, he's thrown it to the perfect spot and hopes one of his guys goes and gets it. And that's what it was. And that's why it is still a great, incredible play and crazy play, and he should be given credit for it. And when you throw that, when you're him, and the way he watched the replay and stuff, I don't know that he thought someone was going to get it, but he threw it where he wanted to, and somebody got it. So what more do you want?
I agree. That'll be my roller coaster play too, because I honestly can't think of one right now.
I mean, that play was insane. I write it down.
Yeah,
I'm like,
awesome.
Ridiculous, insane. I mean, that's crazy. Okay. What do you got for, you got anything for WTF, or you want to skip it? You want to be positive?
There
was some bad stuff that happened.
There's a lot of defensive plays where I was like, what is going on here? But I don't, here's my situation. The reason why I'm not as mad this week is because I think that Andy Reid really did a good job in scheming his guys open and that sort of thing. Well, I guess, you know what? There is one play. I think it was the second Chiefs touchdown where it was flipped out to, I think it was number 17 on their wide receiver. And there's like 4 Packers defenders there, and a guy even grabs them and just whips on the tackle. And then he takes off, 17 takes off like 20 more yards and scores a touchdown. And none of the Packers could get off blocks. So that's my what the heck play, because like nobody got off a block. The guy clearly hit him and didn't wrap up. And then not only that, but the guy took off for another 20 yards and scored a touchdown on it.
My WTF. So I was going to go with a WTF that was actually kind of this thing that's been building, and I have to hold on to it. I got to shelve it because it's not actually a play from this game. I think this is a WTF for the bye week because yikes, there's just stuff going on, and there's people saying stuff out there in the media that is basically, that's my response to it. I can't even. So I'm archiving some of these things in my mind, and it's all going to come out in the bye week for my WTF. But if you have watched the First Take show or whatever with Chris Carter and Nick Wright,
Chris Carter,
you'll know.
To smack that guy.
Yeah, you'll know what it's about probably, but you won't know everything I'm going to say about it. But you'll know what it's about just by listening to him.
I'd like to smack that whiny face off him. I'll tell you that. I couldn't stand him as a player, and I can't stand him now.
He's been hammering on the same thing about Aaron Rodgers for a while, and I'm just like, wow. I mean, what? Anyway, we're gonna get into that on the bye week. Okay, so my
Eric Mangini too.
Yeah,
Eric Mangini is a little.
He is ridiculous.
You're a crappy head coach, and you should just shut your mouth. Is what I say about him. But that's besides the point.
Yeah. So my WTF is really going to be. It was a play in particular where it was the second quarter, 3rd down sack where Brian Bulaga, Mercedes Lewis, and Jamal Williams couldn't block one guy.
Yeah,
I was like, there's 3 guys over there. You let him get past you. What is happening? None of you blocked him. How is that possible? And the Packers really struggled. They struggled with the blitz all game long. They're just lucky the Chiefs stopped blitzing in the second half. I mean,
the Chiefs aren't a great defense either.
No, but you know what?
What is going on?
Steve Spagnuolo is a good. I think the Packers were getting severely outcoached in this game, especially in the first half, because Spagnuolo was drawing stuff up. They couldn't handle it, and the blitzes, they couldn't figure it out. They didn't have pass patterns to combat those blitzes coming in and free rushers and all that stuff. And then the other part was offensively, Andy Reid was like a magic person. He was a magician, and I couldn't believe some of the stuff they were doing, and they were making that defense look terrible. And it was like, wow, these coaches are heavily outcoaching the Packers coaches right now. Now, I think offensively, the Packers got more creative in the second half, and they did that thing we talked about, which is, I think, that ended up being the key to the game. The get our running back on a linebacker, and let's get a big play, because these linebackers cannot cover, especially Aaron Jones, but they couldn't handle Jamal Williams either. So that matchup was key to them winning. So go ahead and give me what you got on that. Running back versus linebacker. Packers, that's a big plus.
Well, that was, like you said, it was the key of the game. It was the thing where, because in the beginning the Packers were like, the first drive was a lot of plays to the receivers, like Lazard and Kumaro had a couple catches, and those were things that were very helpful, but they weren't always getting open very much. That's one of the things. I listened to Chris Sims again this week, and he was saying that the receivers were not getting open. So they needed Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams to do things out of the backfield. And the Chiefs consistently let their linebacker cover Aaron Jones. And it was a flaw, and they should have changed their plan. After he schooled them the first time for the big play, they should have figured something out, and they didn't. So as much as they did, the Packers maybe got outcoached on a lot of plays. I think as far as like Monday through Friday preparation for this game in the running plays and that sort of thing. The one thing that they did do was they found a weakness in the linebackers, and the Chiefs did not adjust. Now, the thing is going to be interesting is moving forward when the Packers play other teams, like this week they're playing the Chargers and whoever else, and if and when Davante Adams comes back, how are other teams going to now combat this Aaron Jones lineup at wide receiver, Jamal Williams lineup at wide receiver? Because Jamal Williams also caught on a third down, he ran an out route as the lineup as wide receiver and got the first down, and he had a linebacker on him. So if this keeps happening, if LaFleur uses this more and more, because I watched his press conference from yesterday, and he said, hey, you know what? If we're going to keep doing this, as long as they're going to put a mismatch, like put a linebacker on Aaron Jones, we're going to use him. We're going to keep doing it. And it's going to be interesting to see what they do. If they decide to combat with a safety or a corner instead, it's going to be interesting to see what the Packers do in that to combat that as well. Maybe they'll run the ball. Maybe they'll move Jamal Williams in motion. Maybe Aaron Rodgers can change the play or do something. And then, if the defense puts more defensive backs out there, then they go run and pound like they did against the Cowboys. Or if they keep doing the linebacker up on Aaron Jones, go ahead, move him out to outside in wide receiver position and let them school his butt the whole game. So Aaron Jones has a huge game. I don't care, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens, because that was the difference in the game, and the Chiefs didn't adjust, and the Packers took advantage of it. So as much as, yes, the Chiefs did great, I think the Packers also did a little bit of game planning and a little bit of things that were smart, and it was just enough that, let's face it, they haven't ever done in the last 11 years. They don't adjust things. They don't make changes, as opposed to LaFleur has been willing to take a look, see what his guys do, and put them in advantageous situations to succeed. And that's what you see with that linebacker covering the running back, and the Packers take advantage. That's awesome.
Yeah, when Davante Adams comes back, there's no way you can try to neutralize Aaron Jones in the pass game and still double or triple team Davante Adams. You can't do all that. You don't have enough people to do it. So something's got to give. And I'm like you said, with the adjustments they've made and the way they've basically adapted and shown the versatility of their offense, they will have a counter. They will have a counter for whatever the other team wants to try to do. And that's the thing that's super exciting, because in other years, they didn't have a counter. Their counter was, okay, Aaron Rodgers, make perfect passes to guys that are not open, and that's how we're going to be successful. And now it's, hey, you don't have to be perfect all the time. We can get guys open, and it can be different guys, and the defense isn't going to know what's coming. And if they try to gang up against something that's working, we'll just do this other thing that'll work because they're overcommitting to this. Now, I have a couple of quick...
but can you imagine if you got Aaron Jones lined up wide on one side of the field and you've got Davante lined up wide on the other side of the field? What are they going to do? What is the defense going to do?
Right.
I mean, are you going to double team Aaron Jones and then leave Davante one-on-one? We'll take it. Are you going Are you going to have the safeties cheat over to Devontae's side and then put a corner on Aaron Jones? Because he'll run you right over. I mean, it's going to be awesome. We just need Devontae to get back. I can remember when Sterling Sharp had that turf toe.
Mm-hmm.
I think he played through it. Didn't he play through it that whole year almost? But he had to get he never practiced, right?
Yep.
And he injected his foot with some painkiller so he wouldn't feel it. And he wasn't nearly as fast, but he was still, Sterling Sharp. So he made every catch and did a bunch of crazy stuff. But it's going to be interesting to see if Devontae can still cut the same, because that's a big part of his game is cutting and, getting off the line of scrimmage. And if he doesn't have if he can't use his toe, that's the main thing you do when you do your cuts. So hopefully he'll be back and ready to go here pretty quick. I think they could probably handle the Chargers without him, but they're going to have, the 49ers and the Panthers have really good defenses, and they're going to need somebody who can. Sometimes you just need a guy who can beat one-on-one coverage, and Devontae really is the only guy who can do it.
Yeah. Well, I think there's one other guy, and I had a couple of quick game notes. I'm just going to throw those out there so we can keep moving along and get to other big points we want to get to. One was at one point in the game, it was through the first half, late in the first half, and this was before they adjusted and started throwing more to the running backs. I just had a note. Lazard is the only one getting open at times. I think he can get open. I think he's got the abilities to get open. He's got that big body as well, and he's fast enough and shifty enough.
Yeah, he uses his size well, too.
Yeah.
He understands. He shields off the corner. You're not going to have a guy who's going to there's other, when you see even MVS sometimes, he doesn't use his body size enough. Corners can sometimes jump the play or break the play up or whatever. Lazard, you're not getting the guy breaking up the play. You know what I mean? And that's the one thing I think why Aaron likes throwing it to him. Plus, Aaron can sometimes throw a little higher, and Lazard will go up and get it. And the corner has no chance of breaking up the play when it's thrown high, as long as he's got inside position. So, yeah, I think Lazard is a good. You're right. He's a good key, and I'm so glad that Aaron Rodgers convinced the players or the coaches to put him in that game against the Lions, because otherwise we wouldn't even know this guy was as good as he is.
I'll tell you who knows. Jason Wiegand knows.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Jason Wiegand. So I don't know if you know this, but he works at Iowa State, and he was sitting there parading for this kid once he got on the Packers. And, and I was like, what's going on here? And then anyway, so he had put out some things on Facebook and things like that on social media about how excited he was for, Alan Lazard, because he knew him as a student, and Wiegand teaches there and whatever at Iowa State. And so he knew Lazard, and he put something out there. Can't believe this kid gets to catch passes from Aaron Rodgers now and all that stuff. So he was, though, the leading receiver in Iowa State history. And I know Iowa State isn't a dominant football program, but you look at the measurables, 6'5", 227, decent speed, and the leading receiver in his school's history. It's the same thing with Aaron Jones, right? He was overlooked because of certain attributes. And look at him. He's a monster. He destroys everybody. Okay, two other quick things. We got to give a quick credit for this, because I thought this was key. Even though it only resulted in a field goal, the Packers' second half possession, 8.5-minute drive, 15-play, 8.5-minute drive. I think that was a key factor in them being able to run the ball at the end of the game, because they had that massively long drive. Then you had the turn where they got the ball back. Big shout out to Tyler Lancaster for finally getting in there and poking the ball away from Shady McCoy, who was holding it out, carrying around like a loaf of bread again. So many times in the game, nobody's poking at it. I'm like, guys,
I know.
Just somebody slap at the ball. He's running past. Don't even try to tackle him. Just slap at the ball. He'll lose it. And nobody did. It was like they weren't doing it. And finally, Tyler Lancaster did. And I was like, yes. But anyway, that drive wore them down. And then they got worn down more. And then at the end of the game, because the Packers struggled to run for much of the game, they weren't running that effectively. But the Chiefs were on the field so much in that second half defensively that then when they got the ball at the end of the game, 5 minutes and 4 seconds, they ran. They ran 7 times in a row. They ran 7 times in a row. And why was it successful? Their line was shoving them around at that point. That didn't happen earlier in the game. So that
they were also doing
long
really
drive
good double
key.
teams too.
Yeah,
the Packers, their offensive line this year in the running game has done a really good job. They'll double team the defensive tackle or whoever's in front of them. It'll be like Bakhtiari and Jenkins or Lindsley and Jenkins or whoever. They'll double team for a split second and then break off and get to the second level and also make a block, or at least get in the way. And those have been a lot of times the biggest runs, like in the Cowboys game, where a lot of those big runs were because they double team and then one guy would break off and get to the second level, and the other guy would still hold the block. When the Packers were backed way up at the 2-yard line in the last drive there, it was just double team by Bakhtiari and Jenkins, double team by Lindsley and Billy Turner, and then Mercedes had a decent block holding his guy, and Aaron Jones just kind of squirted through the little tiny hole behind Bakhtiari and Jenkins and got 6 yards on it and gave him a little bit of breathing room. And if they keep doing that, I'd rather see him do that than try to do one-on-one blocks, because Aaron Jones can find the holes. If you're double teaming, that's the other thing. You only have to double team wherever Aaron Jones needs to go, right?
Right.
Like, I would love to see way more double teams on guys on the side of the ball where he's going to, and then single blocks on the opposite side where he's not going to be going to. And those are things that I would like to see them do now. Like maybe that's the next thing we'll see them do, hopefully, is double team to the side we're going to, because that gives Jones way more holes, right? Because you're given, when you can have your offensive lineman sealed off a whole side because you're double teaming a guy, that gives Aaron Jones, like, he just runs off the guy's back, or Jamal Williams, whoever, and then sneaks through there, and who knows how far he's going to go. But when you do single blocks, then what happens is the defense can then kind of see where the back's coming from and then sometimes shed the block and make a play. When was the last time the Packers did that? Usually it's like Aaron Rodgers throwing deep bombs and, or that was the other thing too. How many 3-and-outs they had last year? And even this year, at the beginning of the year, they weren't doing so great on third down. Last year, their third down possession was god awful. Remember how their third down percentage was just terrible? They couldn't sustain drives at all.
Yeah.
And this year, especially the last 3 games or so, they've been sustaining drives, chewing up the clock. I think they're one of the leaders in time of possession, like in the whole NFL this year, which is crazy, because I think they're still passing it way more than they're running it, but the time of possession is way, way up there. So I agree with your point.
They said they're on first down this year. The Packers are passing it 51% of the time, running it 49% of the time. Last year, they were passing it 64% of the time.
64, yep. I remember hearing that too.
And then the other, I'm going to give credit, Dan Orlovsky. I watched him, and he gave me those statistics. The other thing he pointed out was something that you had talked about with Aaron Jones. He said that Aaron Jones the Packers used him in 7 different positions in offensive sets in this game. That's incredible utilization of a great athlete. And for him to know what the heck he's doing from all those different positions too, that's credit to him, man. That's awesome stuff. So, Mama and Papa Jones, you should be proud of that boy. We're proud of him. We love him.
Yeah.
All right. What did you think? I'm telling you, I was sitting there screaming at my. Well, I wasn't screaming. I wasn't. I'll back that off a little bit. I was loudly talking to no one because I was watching the game by myself about why no one was poking the ball from Shady McCoy, because he always carries it loose. And you look at the play, and Tyler Lancaster, like, he's getting blocked, and he just kind of like reaches his hand out. He didn't even hardly hit it, but he just poked at the ball, and it comes out. And I'm like, man, that's what that guy is. That's what that guy's always been. So when you're struggling and you can't stop these guys and you get an opportunity, just try to get it out of there from that guy. Just punch at it, poke at it, whatever. And finally, Tyler Lancaster did. Were you also driving yourself a little crazy by them not doing that for
a little bit, but the other thing that bothered me too was after the play, they showed the replay, and then Chris Collinsworth is like, "Oh, there's Lancaster. There's a gift for Lancaster." I'm like, "No, Lancaster caused that fumble,
right?"
And then he recovered his own fumble that he caused. That was a great play by Lancaster.
That's right.
And so, kiss my butt, Chris Collinsworth. You don't know what the heck you're talking about.
Yeah, he didn't see it. You know what was awesome though?
Whatever.
You know what was awesome though? All right. Normally they don't go and run all the way to the end zone with guys that weren't even on the field and start doing the D train thing. But Tyler Lancaster's like, man, I don't get to play all the time, and I don't get many opportunities to get turnovers. So I'm taking this thing. He just ran to the end zone, and he wanted to lead. Because whoever gets the turnover gets to lead their D train thing. And he was super excited to do it, because how many chances is he going to get to do that? So they were doing it no matter what. which is awesome.
That was awesome. Eventually, I'm surprised that there are did they change the rules or something? Like there's no more penalty flags for taunting.
Hey,
Like is that? I guess that's done because holy cow, the whole defense is running around after a turnover in the end zone. I'm like, okay.
The NFL is trying to let a little bit of the fun come back, and they're doing it, I think, primarily because they got so much heat for all these dumb things they've done with officials and replay and other things in recent years that they're like, okay, we're just going to let this go because fans like it. So we don't care.
Well, while we're talking about celebrations, we have to talk about Aaron Jones' worm.
Yeah, that was impressive.
Both times when he scored touchdowns and did the worm, the touchdown was called back. It looked really good, but no more worm Aaron Jones. Because every time you do a worm after you score a touchdown, they call it back somehow. Either on a hold or you step out of bounds or whatever it is. No more worm. No more worm. Just celebrate with your guys, okay?
Tackling. What about the tackling, Ben? We got to get a little negative for a little bit. Tackling was poor. Very poor.
Yeah. Is the Chiefs' offensive line that good?
They had 3 backups in the game at that point.
I mean, they were getting the Chiefs running backs were getting 3-4 yards before they were even touched. I mean, it was kind of sad sometimes. We can talk. I kind of want to talk about Andy Reid's schemes. He in the passing game, he did. To be honest, I was almost happy sometimes they passed as much as they did, and they didn't run because the Packers weren't stopping their run game at all. And there were a couple times where they did stop some pass plays. So I was like, okay, sweet, we'll take that. But the thing I noticed about what Andy Reid was doing is he would line up bunch formations, and I don't know if the Packers are playing zone or what the deal was, but he would put a guy in motion and then move that guy in motion all the way over to the same side as the bunch formation. So there'd be sometimes 4 guys on the same side of the field, and the Packers would only have 2 defenders over there or 3. Because just a swing past the hill or whatever it is, and the Packers defensive backs weren't getting off blocks. And next thing you know, and Blake Martinez is trying to get over there because he's moving in motion with the guy who's moving in motion, but he didn't get all the way over. And then it was multiple times where Reid is moving guys in motion, moving things here, and Matt Moore only had to read one side of the field. And not only did he only have to read one side of the field, he had multiple options that were open on one side of the field. And the Packers defense was trying to cover the entire field instead of worrying about where these fast guys were. There were multiple times where big plays happened and guys were wide open. And like the Kelsey touchdown, we talked about it before we started recording. It was just a great play design.
Yeah, crazy.
Like, there's so many moving parts. Guys, and that was a play where the Packers are playing in man defense. And the Chiefs moved 2 guys from the right side of the formation over to the left after the ball. One of them moved in motion before the ball was snapped. The other one moved right after the ball was snapped. And then the back moved to the right. And it was like, what the heck? And then the Packers defense didn't know what to do. And then Kelsey just went up and blocked for like 3-4 seconds or whatever it was. And then snuck out behind everybody, and nobody knew he was there. And Matt Moore just waited, and then just threw up a wounded duck. But Kelsey was so wide open that he scored. And it was because there were so many moving parts going on in the backfield of the Chiefs, and the Packers had to, because they're in man, they had to move along with their guys, and they were trying to read through their own traffic of the defense. And they were so worried about all this stuff moving around, they forgot about Kelsey, who was just kind of sitting there. And that brings me up to when they play the 49ers, which is coming up. I know I keep bringing it up because it's a couple weeks away, but it's a big game against a team who's undefeated at this point. And when you watch them, George Kittle does the same stuff. He'll fall down, pretend like he fell, and then get up. The next thing you know, he's 30 yards downfield and wide open. He'll block for a little bit, sneak out, and he gets plays going. This is something the Packers are going to see now. They're going to see. I mean, nobody's, they might not be able to move as much, do as many scheme type things as Andy Reid does, but the Packers defense is going to have to be worried about, okay, these guys are going to be moving in motion. How do we cover this? Do we play man and maybe leave an opening over on the other side of the field? Or do we play zone and then they flood one side of our zone and we don't have enough guys to cover? They're going to have to really make decisions and fix this, because right now they're not covering when they flood a certain zone. And then when they do play man coverage, they're not getting over and weaving through their own traffic on defense to actually cover the receivers after they move in another formation. The thing that I think is their secondary, the first 3 weeks of the game of the season, they were playing man coverage, right? And they were up in the face of them. And there was a play on 3rd down on the Chiefs' last touchdown drive, I think, where they had a bunch formation, and the Packers had like Tremont and Jair and Kevin King were all on the same side. covering the 3 receivers. And it was 3rd and 8. And by the time the ball was thrown, all 3 of those guys were 12 yards back downfield. And Kelsey was one of the guys in the bunch formation, and he just ran like a 5-yard out, and there was nobody there. And Moore just threw it to him, and the next thing you knew, Kelsey got a first down. And I'm like, who was the guy who was supposed to be covering Kelsey out of those 3? Because all 3 of them went deep with the 2 receivers that went deep out of that bunch formation and left Kelsey wide open on a 5-yard out. And then Blake had to try to run over there from the middle linebacker position to try to make a tackle. By the time he got there, Kelsey was already a first down. Are you playing zone? Are you playing man? And why is there nobody in the flat within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage when you only need 8 yards? It's just dumb. There's got to be some kind of communication problems going on that happens.
Yeah.
But Kelsey is one of the best tight ends in the league, right?
Right.
Like you brought this up last week with oh crap, I forgot his name.
Darren Waller.
He's on my fantasy football team. Yeah, Waller. It's like, you know that guy. You know, we got to cover him. Well, Kelsey's the same way. How do you leave him wide open on 3rd down and 8 on a 5-yard out route? There's not anybody within 5 yards of him on a 5-yard out route out of a bunch formation when there was 3 defenders sitting right there. And if you'll see this on the highlights if you want to watch it, anybody who's listening. You'll see the same play. It's 3rd and 8, wide open. And there's nobody within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage on the 3rd and 8. Get back to playing man defense. Bunch up in a guy's face. Because what's the best way to slow down a fast team? Smash them in the mouth, right?
Yeah, you got to throw out their timing. You got to get off their time.
Yeah, if you give them a free release off line of scrimmage, they're already faster than you to begin with. Plus, their play is perfect in motion. And that's the reason why Andy Reid uses a lot of motion, because if he gets a guy in motion, he knows he's going to get a free release and he can use his speed, right? But if you're starting out of a bunch formation already, you at least have a chance to get up there and smash them up and slow them down. And they weren't doing it. And teams are going to see this, and they're going to use it.
I think they were scared of the Chiefs' speed and the issues that Andy Reid was throwing at them. You know, that they were getting bottled up on, confused by, and not, you know, like you said, not sticking with their guys very well. So I want to go back to a couple of things you mentioned. One was those plays, and Chris Collinsworth doing the broadcast mentioned it numerous times. He's like, they have 5 guys on this side of the field, and the Packers only have 4. And I think I'm really waiting to hear the press conference for Mike Pettin this week to see what kind of answers he has or what kind of questions he even gets asked. Hopefully somebody asks him about some of those instances, because I think my assumption is this. They were getting beat pretty bad in man coverage in the first half, and so I think he said we're going to do more zone, and that's why they were playing more zone, and then the Chiefs countered that zone by overloading sides and running more, you know, all those receivers to one side of the field where you don't have enough guys. And then you're right. The reason that doesn't make any sense is because you're trying to cover the whole field with your zone, but there's nobody in half of the field. So why are you covering that half of the field? Right? That's where it doesn't make sense. So maybe if you want to play zone, you can have like a morphed zone or a floating zone that kind of, at least if there's nobody on this side of the field, let's at least shrink it down and all shift over to the other side so we at least have enough guys over there to make the tackle, to make the play, to cover people.
Yeah, it's like in baseball when you're going up against a pull hitter, right?
Sure.
You just kind of move your defense over because you know that he's going to pull it. So you move your defense over, and maybe, you know, you give up a little bit on one side of the field, but there's nobody over there.
Right. You don't need
and I agree that's probably what they should have done.
You don't need to cover field where nobody is. That's the point. Now,
that's something that defenses do in
I
the
don't,
NFL?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe they're listening to our podcast. Maybe you'll see it next week, because I'm telling you right now, if nobody's figured that out yet, like, you need to come up with a zone defense that tells your players, hey, if nobody's over here, then go over to the other side of the field and cover where they are. Does that
even if, like, let's say a guy moves in motion, right? he's on the one side of the field. He moves in motion, and you're playing zone.
Yeah.
Just the whole zone should just kind of shift over 5 yards.
Sure, why not?
You know what I mean?
Why not?
Why not that? Like, I don't know if that's a thing that NFL teams do, but they should.
They should.
Because after watching this game, we saw, like, hey, there's not enough guys to defend. With the quarterback, you're going 11 against 10 because the quarterback usually doesn't do anything, especially Matt Moore. He's not going to run or anything. So you got 11 guys to defend 10 guys, and you still can't even have enough guys over there when Andy Reid floods one side of the field or the other. Other teams are going to see it, and they're going to do something too, similar to it. And Mike Pettit needs to figure out what to do. And I think that's a good suggestion. If they could somehow do that sliding technique, I don't know if I've never heard of that before.
I didn't.
Genius. You are a genius.
Hey,
you are a genius, man.
Should be a football coach somewhere. Anyway, the other note I had was, well, and I think because they were afraid of the Chiefs' speed, and the Chiefs have crazy speed. I mean, man, if they would have played a man up the whole game, they would have got burnt many, many times by Tyreek Hill, that Hardman kid, Sammy Watkins, whatever. But the one other game note I had was when the Packers blitzed, they didn't blitz much, but when they blitzed, it was pretty successful. That's when they got their pressure. That's when they caused some incompletions and not these easy completions and stuff like that. It seemed like their approach in this game was, we want to sit back, keep everything in front of us, not give up the explosive plays. They've been giving up a lot of big plays, and they're worried about that. And obviously that's the message. Don't give up so many explosive plays. But then you're playing so soft because you're worried about their speed that you end up just letting them take what they want. And Matt Moore looks great, and he's a smart guy and all this stuff. But if you would have put some heat on him, he wouldn't have looked so good, I don't think, because the times that they did blitz, it worked pretty well. If you get beat over the top by a second-string quarterback, whatever, you take it. You tip your cap to him and say, okay, move on to the next drive.
We talked about Matt Moore last week. We both know
he's a good guy.
He has been a good quarterback. He's been a very good quarterback for years and years and years, and he proved it on Sunday night. We said it last week on the podcast, and he was doing it again this week. Is not, he's not a chump.
No.
Yeah,
he made some good plays.
Been, he wasn't a highly touted guy, so they always kept trying to replace him with somebody else. But he always made plays no matter where he was, and he looked great on Sunday night. And he made the Packers pay.
He played a very good game.
Andy Reid's scheme, but Matt Moore is a smart, accurate quarterback, and he proved it on Sunday night. That's one of those things where you go up against a veteran quarterback. Who cares if he's a backup? If he's a veteran and he's smart and he's been in the league for a long time, you got to be able to do something against him. And I don't know. They got another guy, Philip Rivers, coming up, who's he's been around a long time. I don't think they're going to fool him. But we'll see what happens. Okay, go on to your next thing there.
Well, that's the other part. I guess the point about that is not that he's a backup quarterback, but that you make him make lower percentage throws then, at least. If you're blitzing and playing tight coverage and they have to beat you over the top, those are lower percentage throws than sitting back off 10 yards and just giving it to him. That's the point.
Yep.
All right, one other key point I wanted to make was this. The Packers had gone many games without Aaron Rodgers getting hit much, a lot of pressure. He's been very good at getting away from pressure too when the line has looked bad. But in this game, they had those blitzes. They sacked him 5 times. They knocked him down 12 times. So they got 12 hits on him in this game. And that linebacker, 54, I think it was Wilson, he was all over the place, and he was hounding him. And that D tackle, 99, I can't remember his name now. I should look it up. But he's like a guy from a small school who's a stud, and he was super fast too and really impressive for a guy that big. Holy cow. But anyway, I got to give some credit to Aaron Rodgers on that. I don't know that he's been hit that much in a game in a while, and he kept playing. He kept hanging in there, doing his thing, still made the plays, those crazy plays we remember, but he also made the adjustments with the coaching staff, and they got ways to get rid of the ball faster, got the running backs involved. So I was actually watching a Chiefs follow-up broadcast after the game, and they were talking about how they thought the Chiefs defense played pretty well, and they brought that stat up that they actually they hit them 12 times. And that's a lot of hits. It's a lot of QB hits in one game, and I don't think it rattled him or he lost his composure at all. So I don't think anyone really talked about that after the game on the Packers side, but I thought that was also a pretty key component to the Packers winning. So
I think they got better as in the second half. I think where they weren't giving up as they shored up the blitz pickup and their protection.
Yeah,
because there was one time I remember where Rodgers was sitting back and I don't know if maybe they just didn't blitz that time. Maybe there's nobody open, but he sat back for a little bit and he actually dumped it off to Jimmy Graham, and Jimmy Graham ran for first down, and I was like, holy cow! Yeah, Rodgers actually took the easy outlet like the security outlet.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to throw it downfield, they were waiting for 25 years and get sacked.
And Jimmy Graham
That's more,
ran, got a first down. Jimmy Graham.
Yeah, it was third. It was the third down.
I know.
So,
I was excited.
Like,
I was excited too.
But I'm just like, the more plays they can do that way too, and using Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones, if they're ever lined up at running back instead of, or Vitale, for gosh sakes, use some Vitale, please, again. You had a couple snippets of him. We got all excited, and then we haven't seen him in a while again. Come on. Anyways, but I think giving him, if LaFleur can give Rodgers a couple of safety valves, so he's not holding the ball for so dang long too. And I know he likes to hold the ball and make big plays, and that's his thing. Did you see the interview that he did with Mike Tirico? It's on YouTube. It's like
I saw it. Right.
And one of the questions Tirico asked him was like, hey, you got this defense now, you got the running game, and you like that you don't have to be Houdini anymore? And then the first thing Rodgers says is, well, I like being Houdini.
Right. Well, I'm sure he does.
Like, God dang it, Rodgers, because that's the one. If I could say one thing about him, that's
he doesn't have to do it all the time.
But he wants to.
Yeah.
He would rather throw a 50-yard bomb that looks great in the air to a guy than, like, I think, then throw the 67-yard touchdown screen to Aaron Jones. He doesn't want to do that. He wants to throw a 67-yard bomb or a 40-yard pass to, like the other play where he threw to Aaron Jones on the slant and go play. He liked that pass better than the little dump off, because he wants to make it look pretty and have him look good. And if he just does a little dump off, then he looks more like Brett Favre, right?
Yeah, but I think if you asked, any quarterback, they would say that they'd prefer that.
I know, but I think that's his major flaw, and that's the reason why he holds the ball so long. Is because there's a lot of times there's like on first down and second down. You know what I mean? Like he'll sit there and be like, oh, well, I could dump this off here, but I want to get the big play. And the next thing you know, he thinks he's faster than he is, and he gets sacked.
Well, that one he got sacked on, like, that was by that guy I was talking about. I mean, that guy was fast for a 300 and some pound guy. I was impressed with that. I gotta look up who he is now. Dang it! I think he's from a small school like not Western Michigan, but Western Kentucky. Or I'm looking him up. You talk.
I don't know, but the very last play of the first half, right?
Oh, that one they just got gobbled up. Yeah,
that one they got screwed. Yeah, there was nothing you could do. But there's different plays where, I don't know. I'm hoping that we see more. Because let's face it, he's never going to be considered the best quarterback of all time because Tom Brady's got 5,000 Super Bowls, right?
Well, he is by me, but that's all right. We'll talk about that in the bye week.
I think Aaron Rodgers is the best too. But the thing is, Tom Brady is always doing the outlet pass. I was listening to Chris Sims. He said that Drew Brees threw the ball to Latavius Murray 12 times in the Saints game this weekend. 12 times. That's 12 passes to the running back. And it's not even Kamara because he was out. Now, he caught 9 of them, but still, that was 12 attempts to a running back. Tom Brady will throw it to whoever is open. He doesn't care. And he doesn't want to get hit, so he throws it within 2 to 3 seconds every time. And the sooner Rodgers, and I know, and the fact that Rodgers said that to Mike Tirico is, I still want to do the Houdini plays. I don't mind him doing Houdini plays when they need them, right? But he doesn't have to do them on second down.
Right.
You know what I mean? Save the Houdini play for third down. If it's not if the play doesn't work, fine. But if it's second down, throw it to the outlet pass. Throw it to the easy completion, and maybe the guy will take it and run 67 yards for a dang touchdown like Aaron Jones did. And that's the thing that Aaron Rodgers needs to learn. And that's his only flaw, right? He's accurate. He's smart. He can read a defense. He can throw a pinpoint pass 60 yards or 45 yards down the field. He can throw a screen. He can throw a bubble screen. He can throw a freaking quick out. He can do all those things. Sometimes he's a little conservative. He doesn't like throwing the ball in the middle of the field, which is kind of weird because usually that's the easiest pass, but it's also the ones that sometimes get intercepted more. So that's why you very seldom see him throwing the ball to the middle of the field. A lot of his passes are outside, out the numbers, because he knows that if it's going to be incomplete, it's probably going to be not intercepted. So that's why he likes throwing those. But he has 2 flaws. That he doesn't like throwing the ball in the middle of the field because he's afraid of interception, and he likes to be the big hero play. He likes to make the big hero play. And I want him to stop doing the superhero play on second down and first down. Only save the superhero play for third down, like the touchdown to Jamal Williams, where he had to make a hero play. Now, somebody said that if he would have looked over the other side, Aaron Jones was wide open for an easy touchdown.
Yeah, but
because he was looking for Jimmy Graham. But that's fine, because Jimmy Graham had, for some reason, the defensive end ended up getting covered on Jimmy Graham. And that's what he saw. And he was like, oh, sweet. Jimmy Graham on a defensive end. But the defensive end stuck with Jimmy Graham, but Jimmy Graham's too dang slow.
Right. Somehow
the whole play had turned in. Right.
Somehow he wasn't open when he had a DN covering him. He wasn't open.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to get into Jimmy Graham how slowly. Have you noticed something about Jimmy Graham? He's talked to the media the last 2 weeks.
I know.
He didn't talk to anybody the first bunch of weeks.
I know. Well, that's because people start saying that we never get to hear from him and blah, blah, blah. So now he did.
Also, I think he didn't drop any passes the last 2 weeks, too.
Oh, that could be it. All right, I got it.
When he drops passes, he won't talk.
I got it, and I got a side note. All right, this guy's name, Colleen Saunders. He's 6 feet, 324 pounds. He's a 23-year-old rookie out of Western Illinois.
Wait a minute, he's 6 feet tall, 320 pounds?
6 feet, 324 pounds, and he ran down Aaron Rodgers. He's that guy's impressive. I said he goes to a small school. One other thing, when I was trying to look him up, I found that the Chiefs have Mike Pennell on their team. Remember Mike Pennell?
Yeah, I do.
He was this monster guy, but never kind of lived up to expectations and stuff. But he's on the Chiefs right now as a backup. He's 6'4", 332 from Colorado State Pueblo, another small school. There's some notes for you. Okay, where are we at here? We got through all the business. I think we're getting a little into Aaron Rodgers, and I'm telling you, save some of it. Because bye week, I'm telling you, man, that's the time to dig into all this stuff that's been going on, the float around, the other crap, stuff we're hearing from these nonsensical talking heads, some things that we think, observations, and then comparisons and stuff like that. So we're going to dig into it at that point. And we're also going to see that probably that bye week will also be our Rashawn Gary evaluation as well. Yeah.
It'll be rough.
Got to talk about those two things, the good and the bad and the ugly. You can figure out what the bad and the ugly is there out of those two guys. Okay. Now, the Chargers coming up. L.A. Chargers, Ben. What do you think about them? We know they got Phillip Rivers, and they've got some good receivers, and they've got, defense is good at times and all that jazz. And Melvin Gordon's back, but they've had an up and down season. Although they did beat the Bears. It took another missed Bears field goal.
The Bears missed a couple field goals in that game, and they also they had 8 plays in the red zone, or 8 plays inside the 8-yard line, and they got 8 yards, and they didn't score. They had kicked 3 field goals in the first half. They only had 9 points. It was ugly, dude. The Bears are terrible. I
didn't get to watch it, but somebody said Matt Nagy was defending his play calling after the game, or I don't know, something.
Well, what happened was they got Mitch Trubisky runs for a first down, gets to the 20-yard line, and there's like 40 seconds left. So it's first down from the 20-yard line with 40 seconds left, and they had a timeout. And instead of running the regular play, they just did a kneel down and then kicked the field goal. And then, of course, he missed it, and they lost. The Chargers should not have won that game. There's about 5 or 6 different things that happened where the Chargers should not have won that game. And the Bears just kept giving it to them. And if I was a Bears fan, I'd be super mad because the Bears are just stupid, to be honest. I'll say this. Joey Bosa is pretty quick off the line of scrimmage. So, Balaga, and I heard Balaga hurt his pinky or hurt his finger or something, and that's why he wasn't in the game at the end. But I thought Alex Light did pretty decent this time.
He did.
He was in there with Balaga this last Chiefs game. But that could be a problem because either one of those two guys, whoever's playing, is going to have to worry about Joey Bosa, who is, he's a game changer at defensive end. He can make some plays and he can get to the quarterback. So that's going to be a problem. Casey Hayward had another interception, but it was Mr. Trubisky throwing it right to him. So, whatever. But it's still Casey Hayward, ex-Packer. We know he's awesome.
He's so little.
But that's besides the point.
I met him too, and he's so little.
Yes, you did. But
tiny little.
So he's with the Chargers. He's pretty good. But the Bears moved the ball down the field repeatedly and got inside the red zone and then just shot themselves in the foot. So the chances for the Packers offense to have a successful day are there against the Chargers. when it comes to the Chargers offense, we know Phillip Rivers is Phillip Rivers. He's been around for a long, long time and hasn't really done a whole lot of anything other than throw a lot of yards and throw some picks and some touchdowns, right? But he's one of those guys who he's not very mobile. He's got that weird sidearm delivery thing he does.
Yep.
And his balls kind of are slow. Like sometimes he'll drill it in there, but a lot of times his balls are kind of like it takes a long time to get to where they need to go to.
Yeah, he's got some floaters in there for sure.
Yeah, so like I hope
floaters.
Packers,
also the name of a game that you gave my kid last year.
Are we gonna bring that up?
Why not?
I don't know. We should.
I think it's time. Well, anyway, all right. Floaters. You
we
can
do that some other time.
Look it up.
Or we can do it now if you want. I don't care. Yeah, whatever. But
then we have to get into your nickname he gave you, and then we're going down to.
All right, fine. You want to do it? We'll do it. So yeah, floaters is the game I got your son because your son always calls me Uncle Booty for reasons I don't know because I don't even have a big butt, but he calls me Uncle Booty all the time. And I'm like, all right, stop calling me Uncle Booty, kid. And he wouldn't stop. So finally this year for Christmas, I was like, you know what? I'm going to get him something for Christmas this year that really isn't a good gift, but it's going to fit him for all the times he calls me Uncle Booty. And then we have one of these pop-up stores at the mall, here that was selling just goofy stuff. And one of the things they sold was this fishing game, and it was called Floaters. And it was a fishing game where you're fishing for poop. There's little plastic poops, and you have a fishing pole, and you have to try to catch the the plastic poops. They all have like a little hook on them, arrow hook or whatever, and you have to hit the hook. And then that's what I gave him for Christmas. As well, we gave him a good gift too. But we also that was just and I wrote down that from Uncle Booty. So there you go. I gave him a poop fishing game because he always called me Uncle Booty. All
right. Okay. The reason I brought it up was not just because of, I don't remember how we got here, but something triggered it. But I also just looked off to my right because I'm in the basement doing this, and there's the game sitting right there on the game table and stuff. And so I saw it and I had to bring it up. And here's what it says, okay? Floaters, cast your line. It's poop fishing time.
Yeah.
What a good
line.
You
know what? That's a perfect game for Eckes. He's always talking about he's going fishing all the time.
And then it says,
I'll get him floaters next time I see him for Christmas.
Includes water mat, fishing rod, 5 plastic poops.
Yeah, it was a great gift. Anyways, back to Phillip Rivers floaters.
All right. Oh, that's how floaters. Okay. There we go.
But the Packers will have some opportunities to get some interceptions, I think, against Phillip Rivers because especially if they get a lead. That's the other thing that's really good about going against Phillip Rivers. If you have a lead against Phillip Rivers, he will take chances and he will throw balls to you, and you just need to be ready for him. And sometimes he brings you back. But a lot of times you'll just throw like picks left and right, and the next thing you know, you're kicking the crap out of the Chargers. But if you don't get those picks, then he usually ends up in the very next play, boom, he'll drill you for a huge touchdown or something because he takes chances. Melvin Gordon's back, like you said, but he is first getting back the last couple of games, so I don't know how in shape he is. He had a couple of plays against the Bears, but not much, so. But it's just kind of I think it's his third game back now, so we'll see. Maybe he's a little more dynamic. And, Keenan Allen is still there. And that's the other thing I noticed. The Chargers had a lot of drops in that game, too.
Okay, we'll take that. We'll take the drops.
They were open and they dropped balls. But that was the game in Chicago in the wind. This is going to be in L.A. in the nice weather. So they might catch more balls than they would drop again in the nice weather. I don't know. But those are things I noticed from watching the game.
I'd like to see the Packers come up and challenge those guys with, do more of that bump and run with Keenan Allen, put Jair on Allen, and Kevin King and Mike Williams because he's a bigger guy, and just let him challenge him and throw off the timing and know that that'll help you get to Rivers because he's not that mobile, can't move very well. The one guy I question about how the Packers are going to handle him is that Austin Eckler, because he was on my
30.
Yeah, he was on my fantasy team last year, and he was splitting time and all that stuff. And so this year I didn't worry about him. And then of course Mo got him, and Then he was getting all the carries and all the catches. He was like lighting it up before Gordon came back. That's why Gordon had to come back, because he was, dominating and not getting injured. But he's still a matchup problem. He's quick. He's fast. They use him in the passing game a lot. Like I wonder, are they going to try to cover him with Martinez or whoever, or is Amos going to do it or whatever? And that guy could cause him a little bit of trouble. And Phillip Rivers will throw it to the back 70% of the time too. I mean, he has no problem just dumping it off to the back. So that guy they got to watch out for sure.
The nice thing is that like Keenan Allen and Williams, that's the guy's name, the other receiver.
Yeah, Mike Williams. He's a big guy.
He had a big catch downfield where he was covered. He just jumped up and grabbed the ball. Like it was a 30-yard pass. Rivers just threw it up there and he jumped up and grabbed it. So those guys, they're not the fastest guys. Right. So man pressure, man coverage is good, but they still need to look, because Phillip Rivers doesn't care. He's going to throw the ball to, even if you're covered, he'll throw it to him because they'll make plays. Because Keenan Allen's a pretty solid receiver, and this Williams guy, I watched him just, he had Will Fuller on him and he just didn't care. He just jumped up, grabbed the ball, even though there's a really good corner on him. Phillip Rivers is just a weird quarterback. Like I don't. Whenever I watch games with him, I'm just like, how does this guy? People think he's good, and the next thing you know, he's doing things that he does things that make no sense. Is what I'm trying to say. And somehow it either works or it doesn't work. That's part of the reason why the Chargers have not really had that much success in the playoffs when he's played, or even gotten to the playoffs, because he's a hit or miss quarterback, and it's kind of scary going up against a hit or miss quarterback because you don't know. Is he going to have a good game? Are things going to fall his way, or is he going to have a bad game and things are going to go bad? We just need the Packers defense to be consistent and be ready for when Phillip Rivers does something dumb. And then hopefully they'll work on their tackling. And the only good news is, do the Chargers? I guess I don't know if they have a tight end anymore. I think Gates is now gone, right? He's older anyway. Even if he was still there.
Yeah. They drafted a kid last year. I think he's a second year now. Okay. He was pretty high pick. I forget his name at the moment. Hunter.
Yeah, so I don't know how.
Hunter something or other.
Yeah, I don't know how much he's done this year. I haven't really paid much attention to the Chargers. I just watched part of their game because I knew they were the next opponent for the Packers. So that's why I kind of was like, okay, let's see what's going on here. And
that's right.
All I saw was a lot. Even Keenan Allen dropped a touchdown. So in the game against the Bears. So there was a lot of weird stuff going on. That was just a terrible game.
You remember Triple H, right? You remember Triple H?
Yeah.
This guy's Double H, Hunter Henry. Oh man, he's got 4 years of experience already. What? He's only 24 years old though, and he's out of Arkansas. I think he was a first round pick that year, but he's got 22 catches, 300 yards, a couple of touchdowns this year. So he's used, but not like a scary guy. But who knows? The Packers have been so bad against tight ends. He might have a monster game this week. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Hopefully not. Hopefully they figure it out and get pressure on him. Yeah, that's interesting with Rivers. He does play different, and he's a different kind of cat. But he'll keep coming after you, no matter what the score is, no matter what's going on. Last time the Packers played the Chargers, if you remember, in Lambeau, it took I think it was a fourth down defensive knockaway for them to win the game. I mean, the Chargers were like right on the doorstep, and they won because of a pass breakup.
Wow.
It was a shootout. And I think I want to say it was Demarius Randall who knocked it away, but I can't remember for sure.
Hey, he's been doing good with the Browns.
Yeah,
Browns aren't good.
He's been doing pretty. Browns are terrible. Well, how do you do it? How do you do it, man? Look. All right, we got to finish with this.
No matter what quarterback I draft, you better just look out.
It's not just
next year. I'm drafting Kirk Cousins. I'm drafting Matt Stafford, and I'm drafting whoever the Bears quarterback is. Because it won't be Mr. Trubisky this year because he's so bad. He won't be there anymore.
Why don't you do me a favor? And if Tom Brady's still in the Patriots, draft him, please.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, but Nick always gets him in like the 20th round, and then he ends up being awesome.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to get him.
He's not awesome this year, but I'm just sick of him. Anyway, maybe he'll retire. But no, here's the thing.
All I know is, listen, I wasted a 4th round pick on Baker Mayfield, and he has been god awful.
Wasted.
I got.
It's terrible.
You know who my quarterback is, dude? Who's been doing pretty good? Gardner Minshew, the second.
Yeah, the Minshew.
The Minshew with the mustache. The guy's crazy. He got me 27 points this week. He's really good. I hope Nick Foles never comes back because I like this guy. But hey, what are you gonna do? I might have to pick up Phillip Rivers if Nick Foles comes back and Gardner Minshew goes to the bench because I can't start Baker Mayfield. He's just the worst. The absolute worst.
What do you mean? He was the next great thing again, and just like all these guys.
Well, the problem is the Browns don't have any offensive linemen that are any good except for J.C. Treader, their center. Otherwise, their guys all stink. You know?
Yeah, that's true. The O-line makes a huge difference, unless you're...
I mean, he gets like 2 seconds to throw, like not even. Like he gets like a second and a half to throw the ball.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, and he's super short, so he can't see over the freaking offensive lineman. So he's got to run around like a ding-dong and move around and try to make something happen. And there's guys in his face, and then he can't see anything, even though he's got all these good receivers. Then he's throwing up crazy stuff. He's got all these interceptions this year and fumbles, and oh my Lord, it's just bad.
But I have to know about your fantasy curse, dude. Why is it so strong? Because I'll tell everybody.
I don't know.
Ben is the reason Aaron Rodgers didn't have great years the last couple of years, because you picked him and had him on your fantasy team.
Hey, he had a good start to 17.
Yeah, but then he got hurt.
He got Anthony Bard.
Yeah, all right. But anyway, all right.
That wasn't my fault.
We'll put that one aside. But, okay, I'm just going to go to some more recent ones. You decide to pick up Jake Kummerow, and you start him. It's fine if you have the guy on your team, but you can't actually play them, Ben, if you want them to do well. You have to know this by now. Because you start Jake Kummerow, and he gets one kick. Yeah, okay. I mean,
dude, have you looked at my running backs? This is supposed to be Packer Podcast.
Kummerow. What else you got? Baker Mayfield. Look what you did to Baker Mayfield, Ben. Come on.
I know. Are you kidding? I also drafted Antonio Brown. He went off the defense. I had the worst draft. The only draft picks that were any good this year for me were my keeper drafts. Because I had Dalvin Cook as my keeper for my first-round pick. I had Mark Ingram as my keeper for like my sixth-round pick or something crazy. And then Aaron Jones was my keeper for my eighth-round pick. And those three guys have been carrying my team. It's crazy when you look at the stats after the game and you see like, okay, my quarterback against your quarterback. Okay, not good. And then it has like my running back scores, and my running back, it has like a bar graph, you know?
Yeah.
And my running back bar graph is up to like 120 points. And then like my opponent's is like 37. And then my receiver is like 1 point. And my tight end, it depends if like this week Waller didn't do as much. So, you know, my tight end will be somewhere in the middle. My defense is pretty good. I got the 49ers defense. They're good. But it's crazy because like every other bar on this bar graph, I'm behind. I'm way lower than my opponent. But then my running back bar graph is like crazy. And that's all the three guys I had in my keeper. If I wouldn't have those three guys, ugh. Anyways, Packer Podcast. Packer Podcast. We're not talking about how bad my fantasy football team
Your
is.
fantasy football team is great, but you've had a track record of...
yeah, that's the reason why I didn't. I could have used my keeper to keep Aaron Rodgers this year, and I chose not to because I didn't want to jinx him again. So, yeah, you're right. That's why I let him go.
Well, we all appreciate it. We all appreciate that. All in Packerland.
Oh, I'm sure.
All right, Chargers.
Yeah.
Chargers game coming up. We like that, and I know the coaches are all going to talk about all the same stuff. But everybody wants to look. We get to look ahead because we're not players and coaches. Chargers game. Remember, that's a 3:25 start. So you and I need to start looking at our viewing options at around 2 o'clock. So we're all set. And we don't have a problem.
I know where I'm watching. You know where I'm watching.
All right.
Free phone football.
Free phone football.
Send me some money, NFL. I am promoting you.
And then they got the Panthers, and then the bye week. So
Panther game got moved to a 3 p.m. game too.
Yep, it is later game.
It was originally a noon game.
Dang.
Big time on actual televised games. When you're 7-1, you start getting all these big games. That's good. Cool.
All right, 7-1 Packers. We like that. Probably should be 8-0, but we're not going to whine about the refs like the Lion fans did. And we'll take 7-1 for now. We'll take it.
Yep, I'll take it.
All right, brother. 3:25 game kickoff. So get your phone ready in time. What do we say? Go Pack Go? Is that the thing?
Sure.
Go Pack Go. All right. We'll catch you next week on Hafeman Brothers Talking Packers.
Must you hide?